right, film freaks, it's midnight. It's vampire hour again. What happens when you find four bloodsuckers in an undead living situation and you make a mockumentary about it? Tonight we find out 2014's What We Do in the Shadows. Rick Ramos, what say you?
What say I? I see the elements for a good film here. I see a lot of humor. I see a lot of potential to be played with. The problem that I have with the film is the genre that it's going, or at least the subgenre of making a mockumentary. There's something about this genre that has only ever worked for me one time, and that's Rob Reiner's Spinal Tap from, I think it was 81 or 82, that, is getting ready to be rebooted, and I'm looking forward to actually that. But especially in the last 2 decades with television shows like the Modern Family, Parks and Recreation, there have been a number of examples of documentaries that just don't, these mockumentary kind of settings that I think are designed to mock and ridicule shows that are on, reality TV, the Kardashians and all this other bullshit, hip hop love and flavor of love and all that other shit that's on TV. But it's frankly boring to me, where I would have preferred a straightforward narrative film set in this world. I think that would have worked better than the constant playing to camera that really just kind of takes me out of the story. So there's a lot here that I think is funny. I think the performances are really good. I think there's a lot to be recommended, but the film itself is one that just doesn't, simply because of the genre, it just takes me out of whatever story is trying to be created. There are nods to horror films. There are nods, most blatantly a recreation of Max Schreck as Nosferatu, or like a combination of Nosferatu, but some of the stills that I've seen from Toby Hooper's Salem Lot.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, but it just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. It's one of those things where I'm sitting there going, I think comedy is really difficult in the sense of when you're trying too hard to be funny, it becomes very needy, and it becomes something that for me is obvious and embarrassing. And mockumentary embraces that because there's this sense of with reality TV, any fucking moron can become a star. Where you used to have talent, where you used to have something that brought you in, and reality television show. First of all, isn't reality. It's these made up ridiculous scenarios that are positioned in such a way as we're supposed to be dumb enough to believe that that's how these people live. And granted, there are a number of people who do buy into these fucking moronic scenarios, worlds, cast of idiots. For me, I have to, even in comedy, I have to have somebody who is, there has to be something interesting. There has to be some kind of interesting take. And the idea of, for me, vampires living together in this home and hunting, and the battle of personalities could be very funny. But something about putting it in a mockumentary type situation, this documentary framework just robs it of the power of the storytelling. I don't know if that works out for you. Obviously, it doesn't work for a lot of people. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the success of shit like Modern Family and Parks and Recreation and what are some other reality mockumentary shit that people seem to eat like a shit sandwich, smiling the whole time.
I'm not sure. I don't know what because yeah, I mean, this is Spinal Tap is like you said, that's the classic. But I was getting a lot of Big Brother, Housemates bullshit.
Yeah.
The Real World. I'm going way the fuck back.
No,
I mean,
that makes sense. That's the shit that I was talking about too. So yeah, this fabricated drama that doesn't and I see, but this is satire. This is taking the horror genre, making it into comedy and satirizing the reality, the cancerous reality show plague that has been, upon us for the worst part of 30 years. So yeah, you're very right to bring up the real world, which is probably the thing that most inspires this film.
Yeah, I mean, it's that and Big Brother. Like, there's a moment. The premise is that you have. So it's a New Zealand production, and you have it's mockumentary, which is pretending to be mockumentary is a documentary that is making fun of documentaries or reality TV in this case, and it's funny, but it's supposedly not meant to be funny from the perspective of the characters. And then it mixes the genre of vampire comedy or horror comedy, specifically for vampires, which goes way the fuck back in cinema history. And then the reality TV aspect, where it's like there are four characters living in this house. One is Viago, who is like he runs the house. He's like the put together one. He's the dandy, the Byron-esque Regency era vampire who has a love story. The whole vampire in love with a human trope. There's Vlad or Vladislav the Poker, which is the Vlad the Impaler trope. And he's very Bram Stoker's. There's a scene where they open his bedroom door and he has his like brides or whatever.
Yeah, the orgy.
Yeah. There's Deacon, who is like the young one who was at one point was a Nazi vampire or whatever. And then there's Peter, who is the Nosferatu looking, Salem's Lot vampire looking Max Schreck vampire, who's 8,000 years old. And then Peter turns one guy named Nick, who goes around telling everyone that he's a vampire. And he's the one that's very much of our time. And Nick at one point at some bar is telling people that he's a vampire, and one guy's like, "Oh, I'm a vampire hunter." Ultimately, the vampire hunter breaks into their house. Sunlight comes in and ends up killing Peter. So they put Nick on trial, the other surviving vampires, and then they exclude him. They ban him from the house. And there's this moment where it's completely reality TV, Survivor, where the music, everything is pointing to this guy got kicked out of the house. He's no longer in the game. And that's the really, like, for me, the point, the moment that it drove that real world type of shit, like, to its logical conclusion. it's difficult because the film itself is mocking, like Spinal Tap is a so-called documentary about rock stars that is mocking the tropes of being a rock star. The journey to the stage from fucking backstage and the fucking hallways and all that bullshit and like getting lost, you know what I mean? And the set pieces and all of it. The amplifier. This is mocking the tropes of vampirism in popular culture, in literature, in film, but it's also mocking mockumentaries themselves because this film exists already aware of all of these other mockumentaries that have come before it. And it's mocking reality TV. But in mocking reality TV, do you sacrifice, like, what do you sacrifice when you're trying to mock all this other shit, or where you're trying to combine the vampire stuff with mocking the mockumentary itself? And there's a difficulty when it seems like the characters, you're torn between believing that they're in on it or believing that they're not in on the joke. If the characters and the actors, obviously the actors are in on the joke because they're fucking actors, but the characters are not supposed to be in on the fucking joke. Only the audience is in on the joke. The filmmaker it becomes this lies agreed upon thing where the filmmaker, it's as if the filmmaker is setting out to make a documentary, not a mockumentary. The mockumentary is in the filmmaker's heart. The characters in the documentary, with quotes, are not supposed to be funny to themselves. It's the audience that is like, this is funny. Because the character can't know. Because then it becomes, you're trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Are they constantly trying to be funny in this? Not necessarily, but I feel like it's a hard road. It's a hard line. But it does kind of become needy at certain points. And there's a lot to play with. There are a lot of tropes, different types of vampires. Vlad the Impaler, the Renfield, the Familiar, the Vampire Hunters, Vampires versus Werewolves was this whole thing. The Vampire Ball. But I found myself laughing. How much did you laugh during this film? Did you laugh a lot?
Yeah, there were a handful of times that I laughed. When they were bringing shame on Nick, and they were surrounding him, walking around him in a circle. Shame. Something ridiculous like that is funny to me. And the young woman who was the servant of which character? The asshole.
Deacon. I think her name's Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie, and she's so badly. She's putting up with all of this shit in order to become a vampire, and there were moments where you get to the vampire ball, and then you can see how pissed off Deacon is that they've taken his servant away from him. You know, they've granted her wish, and Nick has gone behind her back and turned her. I thought that was funny, and I thought the Beast, the reveal of the Beast was kind of funny, and there was something about that they hinted at Vladislav's losing of his powers and becoming animals, but not being able to fully become an
Transform
animal.
completely.
Yeah, and when Nick is trying to escape from the house and he sees that, I don't know if it was a dog or a cat, and it had Jermaine Clemente's face on it. That made me laugh. So there were a few
Yeah, it's
moments
funny.
where, yeah, they got me, but it was the overall vibe of am I sold out to this? You know, you can't watch a movie like this. You can't watch any kind of mockumentary without bringing up the long shadow of this Spinal Tap. And what works in Spinal Tap is that it's a realistic documentary. The little bit that I've seen of the decline of Western civilization makes Spinal Tap even funnier. Um, uh, Chuck Berry's "Hail Hail Rock and Roll" makes Spinal Tap funnier because
Hmm.
Spinal Tap is dead on. It is it is what that world is made up of, and it doesn't shy away from having fun with it. This, on the other hand, I find it makes them too. I think it makes the characters a little bit too childish in a way, a little bit too needy to be on screen in this manner, and I see the point that's being made in trying to say that there's a there's a there's a desire to be on camera. There's a wish fulfillment, an identity fulfillment that is inherent in being on camera, and I think that's very much the situation in the world that we live in today. Everybody wants to be a star. I mean, if you just download the Instagram app, you'll see how many people are just making assholes out of themselves, trying to garner likes and attention and just being seen. So there is that aspect of it, but for me, the world of vampires inherently is secretive.
Yeah.
So I think you break something with that trying to do something like this. So it just doesn't, it flies in the face of it, and it robs it of, if they could have done a documentary investigation. They could have positioned it like a documentary investigation where the vampires weren't in on it,
Hmm.
and a documentary crew was trying to document modern vampires without their participation, with by
Yeah, like
chasing
undercover.
them. Yeah, yeah, undercover. Yeah, you could do it in a you could do
Oh,
it in a
exactly.
yeah, you could do it that way, which would have, I think, been a better movie because it would have retained the mystery of that world, and you could show them in their egotism and their backbiting, their
Literally.
yeah, you could do all of that, and I think it would have been a better movie. But the way it's done now, they seem to, it just robs them of their power. So they become like children who are. It becomes like children who do not know how to control themselves, which I never find funny. I've never subscribed to that whole man child as funny kind of thing. I've always liked. I've always preferred the asshole comic who was smarter than everybody else. And with this, you just don't have that. They just don't seem like I don't know. Comedy is the kind of thing that you start pulling threads, and a lot of things will start falling apart.
Yeah,
So
it was too safe.
yeah,
It was too safe, I think. The my favorite. Well, okay, my second. I don't know if my second favorite, but one area that made me laugh was at the ball. They have this. Nick has this friend Stu who is
yeah,
human,
hmm
and he's not supposed to be around. And then again, to go to your point, it's like, well, but there are fucking camera people around.
Yeah.
And now this documentary is seeming like presumably it's going to be released. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, again, yeah, like you're saying, how secretive is this? Because now their lives are at stake. But anyway, Stu is at the ball, and you have zombies there.
Yeah. That was funny.
And there's a zombie sitting next to Stu, and people are starting to kind of like be like, so what are you? Like, are you, because it's like this exclusive ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, I'm like in IT, like, and finally the zombie just kind of like side eyes him, and he's like, are you predeceased? And that made me laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the one that got me was, and it was completely like this side thing. It was they start to go out into the street and they kind of interact with other vampires who are like out hunting. So there's one chick, she just kills this dude that she had been supposedly like dating, I guess, at like a bus stop or something. And then there are these two like teenager twin looking girls, and it's total fucking deadpan. And they kind of like talk to them, and these chicks are like super deadpan, and they're young. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go," something along the lines of like, "We're gonna go kill a pedophile."
Yeah, that was funny.
That was like that made me laugh the most,
Mm-hmm.
For the whole, because it was with the New Zealand accent, and just so deadpan, and they just cut away from it. They just moved on. And I thought that was funny. And it's kind of like, yeah, there's stuff in here that's, because they approach shit that is taboo, which I think that's where you obviously have to do it right, but that's where there's more gold because it's taboo.
Yeah.
Vlad at one point talks about getting a slave, and he thinks nothing of it because he's from the fucking 12th century or whatever the fuck. And he's this like, he was like some tyrant because he's basically Vlad the Impaler. Deacon's character was a Nazi vampire. The way they do it is like, okay, it's kind of cute. It's like, okay. They don't get to how like horrible these characters can be, and then basically trick you into laughing about it. That's not even tricky, but just get you to just react by laughing, and then you're like, fuck, like you like stuff like this. You should almost feel bad that you laughed, that you laughed because
Sure.
because it is funny, but it's fucked up. And the idea of like, you see these two girls, it makes sense. That's who they're gonna hunt. They're gonna hunt pedophiles. Because of the truth behind the fucking joke, and that's why you fucking laugh. To me, when it's the humor was the most dry. I mean, also I like dry humor, but like that's when it was like the smartest and the funniest. When it was the most offhand or the most subtle, versus I'm gonna look at the camera now, and that's your cue to laugh because like this is actually funny. You get it? Like this is a funny situation right now. Do you get it?
Yeah.
And if you don't get it, allow me to explain. which is kind of like, no, like, don't fucking explain. Just set it up. And then, like a magic trick, whoa, I just fucking laughed. And I had no control over that because it's fucked up. And that's why it's funny. This did become kind of an excuse to like ask for laughter, basically, versus like a vehicle to explore humor in these fucked up aspects of the archetype. Like there's something compelling. The vampire is truly undead as an archetype because it keeps giving, and our culture keeps demanding and creating stuff from this because it's an interesting archetype. There's something about this creature that's dead, but it's undead, and it's just drinking blood. And then whether it's the monstrous element, the seductive element, the existential element of like, this is not all that it's cracked up to be, to the addiction element of the blood, to the lesbianism, to the homoeroticism, to the fucking, like, it can keep going and going and going. You can apply it to any kind of situation, including humor, obviously. But there's like all this fertile ground. And it didn't go in those places, which this happens where sometimes we want, and I'm guilty of this when it comes to horror, and I bring this up a lot. It's like I want it to be or it's as if I feel somehow, or even looking back on what I was feeling supposedly before, is that it's like I'm asking myself, did I want this to be the fucking be all end all of fucking like the latest vampire movie? Like, no. I mean, and there's gonna be enough of a variety because of the amount of media that exists on vampires that you're gonna have different levels of quality, of course, hits, misses, of course. And I think there is a place for everything. So it's like, cool. Like there's vampire porn. Okay, there's vampire mockumentary. All right, cool. But this one was just kind of like, it very much missed opportunity. Like this isn't it. And it started off, I think, stronger than it ended up. Because in the beginning, I was like,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I mean, well, I agree with you. It started off with all these images and what do you call them?
The montage, like the photos and all that stuff.
The montage, but it was like wood carvings, right? Or, is that what it was? Or illustrations?
There were etchings.
Etchings, yes, etchings of medieval etchings of vampires throughout the centuries, and I thought that was great. I loved that part of it because it was diving into the history.
You're dead and out of this world. That song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that credits. So it was like that really. I was like, oh shit, okay, like what is and actually looking at some of those photos of them in these different eras, it made me want to see them in those eras.
Yeah.
And some of the shots and some of the set design and stuff of their house, it gave you all of that fucking vampire like look. It gave you all of that vibe, and there were certain elements that I'm like, oh, this is way cooler than them. It's cooler than the fucking characters. And Peter, who never says anything, as far as I remember.
No, he doesn't. He screams, but that's about it.
He just lives basically entombed in the cellar of the house. He was the most interesting character because we knew the least about him.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to be funny. He just looks fucked up and he looks funny. Um, and I mean, he looks horrible, but again, like that's the thing is like horrifying, but like you stare at it long enough. If you just look at it and you're like, oh fuck, and you look away, it's fucking scary. But if you just keep looking, it can become funny. Um, and is that a kind of a metaphor itself for like how to approach something like this, where it's like it's horrible, but if you look long enough, it's like Anne Rice is like, well, I'm gonna give you a deeper look at the vampire,
Yeah.
and if you look deep enough, you're gonna find humanity, the humanity that was supposedly lost. You're gonna find it. We're gonna find it with Louis. We're gonna find it eventually with Lestat. Um, Maybe we don't find it in the films, but we find it in the books later, eventually. Only Lovers Left Alive, same thing. Um, you look deep enough, then you're gonna see an element. I mean, it's romantic, it's this and that, but there's also something like mundane, because that is about them fucking just like sitting around. What are you doing all these centuries? Um, this is kind of could have gone deeper to where it's like, okay, you look deep enough past the humanity, and then it's actually funny. And you're like, oh, their lives fucking suck. And they're fucked up, but it's funny if you go deep enough. In the same way that the addiction is kind of it's depressing, because it's kind of like, oh shit, like they're just fucking addicted to blood, like as if it's heroin. And Abel Ferrara was able to say, okay, we're gonna go past the humanity into this is not glamorous anymore. This is fucking. I mean, it still can be, but it's like this isn't John Travolta. You mind if I shoot up here? Mikasa, Sukasa, and fucking like cue the music and all right, wow, cool. Fucking saxophones are playing and now you have a romantic fucking heroin thing. No, this is fucking junkie shit. Now go deeper and it's like it's funny. Like how funny can you get with it? How darkly funny can you get with it? And it remained in the realm of the cutesy.
Mm-hmm.
And cutesy it's passing. The vampire archetype deserves more than something temporary, because the vampire archetype is supposed to be eternal.
Well, that's the thing with this. I mean, and I'm going to say it like straight up, and we don't really discuss this that often on the podcast, but we are definitely in the minority on this one, where this film is beloved by a lot of people who have seen it. Those who this I think would qualify as a cult film, where not. But I think we're getting more and more to the point where every film that finds an audience, I mean, it's amazing that anything can find an audience outside of a Marvel or a Star Wars movie. But this is certainly something that people who know this film tend to love this film, and they really find themselves overwhelmed by it. We are not the target audience, I guess. You and I, and I think it is because we look at movies differently. Which is not to say that we don't have a sense of humor. I mean, there are still there are still things that make us laugh, and there's like if you want to talk about horror comedy, take a look at Young Frankenstein. Go back to that movie and see the love that that Brooks as a director and co-writer, and Gene Wilder as a writer-star have for the genre itself, for James Whale's original Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and then the history of the universal Frankenstein monster all the way up until probably Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, or Son of Frankenstein goes to Frank. All of those movies, there's an overwhelming love and appreciation for that, without making it too cutesy, like you said. This, on the other hand, I have a feeling that the audience that embraces this doesn't look any deeper than, hey, this is like a Kardashians episode, which is what it's trying to do. I mean that's you can't fault it for accomplishing what it sets out to do. My problem is in the connection with the material as a lover of the genre itself. You know, we were I was thinking while I was watching this, I was thinking of the movie we did last week, Humanist Vampire Seeking Suicidal Kid, Dumbass, whatever, which is a film that I really liked, but a film that was really throwing curveballs at me the entire time, because every time I thought it was going to go into a comical direction, it was like, no, we're not doing that. We're setting up the realities of a world. Number one, the young girl, the clown at the beginning, that sets you up for a funnier film than you're going to get over the next 2 hours. But then also accidentally turning some asshole rather than draining him completely and killing him. And now you have this slacker character, this Carlos, I think his name was, this slacker character that's sleeping on your
it's like JP or something.
JP, like, yeah, something like that.
But
But he's sleeping on your couch playing Xbox, and you could tell how visibly disgusted this woman is for having this in her life now. But they don't go into this big broad comedy, wink wink, nudge nudge at the camera, see how funny this is. And we've, for everybody who's ever fucked somebody that wouldn't leave, that's what that is basically. But it's never really addressed. It's never really it's the ridiculousness of life playing out in this film. What we do in the shadows, on the other hand, just goes for, and it's a comedy, so it's going for jokes, but it really depends on the kind of jokes and the kind of comedy you're trying to create. Now, is it fair for you and I to have problems with this film for it achieving exactly what it set out to do? It's unfair. But at the same time, is it fair for these filmmakers to take something that we both love and shit on it to a degree? Not really, I'm being a little bit over dramatic, but I'm being a little bit dramatic about it, but to shit on something to a degree that we no longer, that we can't relate and embrace what's on the screen because it doesn't play by the exact rules of what the genre has set forth. And I argue that point because this film addresses a number of the staples of the genre. Not being able to go into a place because you're not invited. I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that them wandering around, not being able to get into a club because they're not invited in, I thought that was funny. Because but you have to know Fright Night. You know what I mean?
I think this kind of film, like when you say that it's for a specific kind of audience, I think it's for the people in the general population who aren't interested in vampire shit. Like, I think will be like, okay, cool, it's funny, cool. But even the
Yeah.
people who are like super vampire fans or whatever, I
Hmm.
think they will also embrace this. Number one, because it just is part of that world now.
Hmm.
Um, and in their on their fucking vampire movie shelf, um, it's gonna be in the vampire comedy section, and it's gonna be, oh, this is the vampire mockumentary. These are the comedies. This is the mockumentary. These are the romances. This is that. Um, this one's interesting because it's a mockumentary. So I think it's going to be embraced just because it exists, which I get. Um, and I don't hate the movie. Like I'm cool with it. Is it going to be something that I'm going to keep going back to? Not necessarily. I'll probably watch the montage, like, because I like some of those pictures. I really like the way they did that.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And and that's cool. But is it fair? I mean, we're doing a film podcast,
Hmm.
so um, it's not even necessarily about expectations. I just think that we are dealing with subject matter in a way that's like, um, we're here to get our nails dirty
Yeah.
with what we're watching, and so it's not enough to just be like, okay, cool, like you exist, therefore, um, I like you, or on the opposite, like it's not my style, therefore I hate you. Like I argue against doing that too. So um, it's just one of those things that it does leave me wanting more.
Well, yeah. I
Um,
mean, the mock. See, the mockumentary has to fit into the world in which it's depicting. Spinal Tap, it does that. The ego, the drive. There's a film that came out, I think, in the late '90s called Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is a mockumentary about beauty pageants. That's hilarious. That's great. But it is these self absorbed people that are trying to sell this idea. The central idea of this film is that a home of vampires would want somebody documenting their life. What's the point? What is the purpose? How do you? I. It's a problem that I can't get past. So it makes the rest of the film a difficult thing to swallow because I
mm,
can't. It's for me. It's just like I see where there are jokes here, but I see jokes in a different. You could have you could have had a different framework that could have sold these jokes better. I think a straight narrative without winking at the camera, without these interviews, without these asides. Just I think that would have been a better film. I think that when people when comedy writers sit down to write a film and to explore a world, they think that a mockumentary is going to be an easier thing because you have somebody talking to the camera directly about how they feel, which, to be honest, I think it's a lazy way of. I think it's a lazy filmmaking technique. I think action should really drive a narrative. And so when you stop to have them winking at the camera or trying to explain their actions or what they did, even if it's a mirror of the 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 ridiculous sense of self-importance that you see in reality TV, um, I think it just robs the scenario of its power, of the humor. So I think all three of those characters, all three of the main characters, could have been very funny in a scenario that didn't have them so aware of being watched. I think for me that's the central problem of this film, and it's one that I can't get past to enjoy it.
You know what's one of the funniest documentaries to me?
What?
American Pimp. It's not a mockumentary.
Yeah.
It's a documentary.
No, it's a documentary.
It's a documentary about pimps.
Mm-hmm.
So the subject matter is fucked up.
Yeah.
It's about pimps and prostitutes, and it just follows certain pimps. And these guys know that they're being recorded, and they know that they're being, like, to a degree, they're being funny. And they're laughing and, like, because they think it's funny. And they are to a degree performing, but at the same time, as pimps, they're always performing. And I've talked about this. It's got a great fucking soundtrack. The editing is good. And these guys will make you laugh. And they have a likability that runs counter to what it is that they do and who it is that they are. Because these are people who, in a sense, are also vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And the shit that they say, these are larger than life characters. Even one character at one point is like, I'm like the werewolf of London, like out in the streets or whatever. He's talking about, bitches on skateboards, runaways, children of the night. And he's talking about how predatory he is. And they will make you laugh despite yourself. They will make you laugh. And then there's the character, that Hoff guy that runs he's dead now, I think, but he used to run the Bunny Ranch or whatever, Mustang Ranch or whatever it was.
Okay, go back to talking about Dennis Hoff at the Bunny Ranch. Just start that again. Talking about.
So
Dennis.
There's this guy Hoff, who used to run. I think he's dead now, but he used to run the Bunny Ranch, or the Mustang Ranch, or whatever version of the ranch that it was at that time outside of Vegas. So they have a small section where they talk to him, and they set it up. This is Hughes Brothers. They set it up a certain way, so it's like all these black pimps, and then this guy's a white guy, and he's like, well, all these pimps. So I guess if we're talking about pimps, then I'm the big pimp because I run this place or whatever. And then he goes into this room, and he's like, wow, look at that nice, pretty pink pussy. And it's just kind of like, it's super cringy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's fucking cringe. And then you're like side-eyeing and you're like, oh, this is not fucking funny, man. Like, ugh. And then if you cut to another guy is like, he's sitting on a bed with two white chicks. And he's like, he's got like a raspy voice, like a Tone Loc almost voice. And he's like, I ain't Hitler. I'm nowhere near Hitler. And then this one of the chicks she's like, well, I don't really know him, but I like him. And then he like slaps his hand down on her leg, but it looks like almost like it, because of the way he has it, it's almost like a claw.
Yeah.
And one of the brothers in an interview talks about how it was almost like all hope was lost for that film to really like get distribution on a level that they wanted when in screenings people saw that black hand on the white thigh. That was like the death knell for their shit, for their movie. What I'm getting at is that as I promote this fucking fucked up film,
Mm-hmm.
is that it's like, it's fucked up. It's a documentary. it's not meant to be funny. And how is it that, like, these certain characters, because that's what they are, as characters, you're like hanging on every word. And then this other person who you would think like, well, he's the same as them. That's cringe. But this is like, oh, these guys are funny. These guys are charismatic. These guys are whatever. There's something there that's missing from this movie. And obviously they're not the same. I understand that. But this movie, the intention is to be funny. American Pimp managed, among all these other things that it managed to do, it managed to be funny.
There is something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You don't know what?
I don't know. I don't know how to make a mockumentary. I don't know how to make some funny project that you film, much less about vampires. I don't know how to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. I mean, I'm not interested in shitting on people who try to do it either. But, and I'm also not saying that, like, oh, just because one thing has something, then that means this other thing should be able to reproduce that in its own world. I'm not saying that either. But this American Pimp has something to it that, without being a comedy, maybe because of that this, with the intention of wanting to be a comedy, lacks.
I think there's something within. There are certain people that are just naturally funny. There's something about the character, whether it's a charm that you see with these assholes in American Pimp, or the ridiculousness of a situation. Bukowski kicking his wife and telling her, "I'm going to get my Jew lawyer."
Oh yeah,
I know how fucked up that is. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
I don't
Of course
condone the
that's
language, but it's
but
fucking
that's
funny.
also,
Yeah.
but that's also why, like, you're laughing is because it's like you're stacking this fucking drunk asshole.
Yeah.
Who is successful enough despite lack of success, who is this cult figure enough that there's a documentary being made about him.
Mm-hmm.
And on camera, he has the fucking gall to fucking kick his wife. And as he's talking about kicking his wife on fucking camera, he's talking about his Jew lawyer. And you're going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's the same way that, like, Trump will say something or do something and you laugh.
Yeah.
And there are people who laugh and they're like, oh my God, I love him.
That's the troubling aspect where you have people who embrace the stupidity. You and I have the privilege, honor, I don't know what the fuck you would call it, but to have had probably the biggest laugh that I think either one of us have ever had in a movie theater.
Oh, for Iceberg?
Yeah. And I think that room was silent. I don't know if there were people laughing at us. I know you thought it was funny, but you weren't prepared for the level that I laughed. Even though you knew me as well as you knew.
I know you're fucking over the top fucking laugh.
Just the idea of this woman on oxygen, smoking a Pall Mall, if I remember correctly. I don't know. That's the way I painted it in my head. Telling this story of, I told my husband, you need to go down there, you need to go down there and get my money, because don't make me go down there and have to motherfuck these Jews. That's got to be the greatest line. And we're in a theater, a small theater.
On the west side somewhere.
On the west, yeah, near It was off of Fairfax, the silent movie theater, and I think people really looked at us with a certain level of disgust. But there's that's a natural. Can you imagine sitting down at a bar with that lady just laughing our asses off at the ridiculous shit she would say? I can't imagine a better Sunday afternoon.
Well, it's like, remember when we used to go to the counter and we would do trivia and we would get our food and drinks paid?
Yeah.
Because we would play?
Yeah.
And one time we were waiting for a friend of ours and this dude started talking to us and he had like some long ass nails and he was talking about how he was a mortician and fucking bodies used to sit up and all this shit like that. You remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
And it was fucking weird, but it was funny.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, oh, that's cool, man. All right, go away.
Yeah.
After a certain point, it's the same thing like Hodorowski in Hodorowski's Dune.
Yeah.
He's looking at the camera and he's like, I rape my films. I rape them. And you're going like, what?
Yeah.
And then you learn that like supposedly he is the product of his father raping his mother.
Yeah.
And you're just going like, as Leslie would say, like, that's not cute. But you still laugh because you're thrown off and you're just kind of like, these two things shouldn't like that energy shouldn't go with what you're saying. And that twinkle in your eye, it's funny because it's fucking bizarre and it's fucked up. Or after they fucking Pulp Fiction, let's go back to that. Fucking
sure.
Pulp Fiction, I think is really funny. It has a lot of comedic moments.
Yeah.
Fucking between John Travolta and Samuel Jackson, I think their chemistry is great, and Samuel Jackson, I think, is funny in that movie. He's just funny. The whole car ride, and once they have to clean up the body, and they're in the bathroom washing their hands, and Jules gets all pissed off, and he's like, "Well, you saw me wash them." He's like, "I saw you get them wet," and he's all pissed off, and he's like, "Why are you making it look like a goddamn maxi pad?" And all that whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
Yeah.
But are they playing it for jokes? No. Oh man, I just shot Marvin in the face.
But what the fuck you do that for?
Yeah.
I remember being in a theater and half of the audience screaming with laughter and the other half just like, oh my God, turning around. I could see people turning their heads looking at other people like, what, why are people laughing at this? Yeah, you're right. And it's meant to be funny. It's absolutely meant to be funny.
But they're not playing it for laughs.
No.
They're not looking at the camera like they're not Tarantinoing it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then look at this. Okay, then look at this. There's same fucking part of the film when Tarantino is talking about dead nigger storage, he thinks he's being funny.
Yeah.
And that is not funny. It's like, you suck. Like, fucking, like...
It's his delivery, though, let's be honest.
Get out of your movie.
Yeah. I've watched it again. The only time he's ever been good in a movie was From Dusk Till Dawn. Because he's playing a creep.
He plays a fucking pervert.
Yeah. A pervert. Yeah. It's the only time he's ever been good.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's one of those things where it's you're able to find this place in between where it's so fucked up, but it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
And go back and you'll look at there's humor in Jaws. I just went to see it on the big screen. Richard Dreyfuss, and the way, look at that scene where they're on the boat right before the most amazing fucking monologue that we talked about. And Richard Dreyfuss there are moments where he's like, yeah, he's trying to be funny, he's doing this and that, and then it turns to horror.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, like this shit just turned. The Exorcist, the mom fucking Ellen Burstyn says fucking Jesus Christ so many times, and I remember being a kid, like being an adolescent, where we used to fucking laugh because we would watch that movie every weekend. And every Jesus Christ, and we would just fucking start laughing because it was so out there. Those moments that we're talking about, from whether it's about pimps, Holodowski talking about raping his films, Pulp Fiction, after a character shoots another character in the face, a woman saying blaspheming, essentially, and her daughter ends up being possessed by a demon. These things are not haha funny, but somehow, and some of these moments are like, okay, we're interpreting it as funny, but some of these moments, like the Pulp Fiction stuff, it's funny, even if some people don't find it funny because of whatever. The other half of the audience, the half that you were part of, found it funny and recognized the humor in it. And it's like, okay, it's the writing plus it's the delivery and it's the situation. I would have liked some of that in this comedy. You know?
This film doesn't go far enough. It really needed to make it a little bit more uncomfortable. No, I actually needed to make it a lot more uncomfortable because it's far too cute, and it doesn't. I just don't think it works in that respect. You have to, I don't know, go watch Python. Watch the organ donor scene from Meaning of Life, or the Killer Rabbit in Holy Grail. There is something about death and excessive bloodletting, which is a ripe opportunity in this film. It's just not gone. There is a moment when he when the Taika Waititi character, the dandy, he's laying down the newspapers.
Oh yeah,
that was funny.
He's
gonna kill the woman who's just talking incessantly, and he's asking her, and then he bites, and he's like, "Oh shit, I hit an artery." That was funny to me, but it you have to go grotesque like that. You have to take it to, you have to go over the top. You have to go so over the top that eventually it comes back to being funny, and you're already watching a comedy about vampires, so you bought that ticket. Give me what I want. Don't make it cute. Don't make it like, oh, they're bickering. I don't want to see bickering. I don't want to see, I want to. That's okay as long as it's in the company of some really bold and crazy kill scenes. I think that's one of the biggest problems of this film. It just doesn't go dark enough.
I mean, Nosferatu, the latest version, there might have been a couple people who laughed when you see his dick.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I get it. And Eggers had to have known that, like, you see a swinging vampire dick, like, someone's gonna laugh. And I think that's cool. I don't think it's like, oh, this is sacred. Like, don't laugh at Count Orlok's cock. Like, that's so inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I get you.
It's humor is mixed in with all of that stuff. Humor is obviously mixed in with sex organs and blood and guts and ultimately death. I will argue that we've talked about this. Horror, being afraid and being and being amused are two of the same. I took a clowning class. It was a theatrical clowning class, and not like clown like fucking Ronald McDonald bullshit, like clowning like in a theater sense or in a carnival sense, like in an old like medieval carnival sense, like a jester type of shit. And it was a very physical class, and this is years ago. It's like almost 20 years ago, and one of the exercises that we had to do is we would have to stand. We just did it in a dance studio, but it was as if you're in the wings, and then you have to, one at a time. We would do it in group exercise too, but it eventually got to one at a time. It's as if whoever's listener, get in the middle of the room. Everyone else is sitting watching you, and the professor, the instructor, is like, you're standing there, and you're in a theater program at a university with a specialty in performance. Okay, cry. And on cue, you have to cry. And whatever that fucking means. And typically, theater people are taught to, at that point, sense memory because you're doing method shit. So now you're standing there trying to think of something sad to invoke that emotion so that you can get to that place and cry. And his thing was like, it's a muscle. And what I'm ultimately saying is that these are sides of the same coin, because then he would be like, however far you did get or didn't get, then he's like, laugh. And then we would all sit on the floor and we would work our breathing, and we would work our breathing and start laughing together, like hysterically, like mad people. And we would go, it was like going from one end of the spectrum to the other. And one end was to be, you would just be laughing and laughing and laughing. It was like the Joker. Yeah. And then he would like tell us, okay, go to other side, and we would like work it from laughing hysterically to as if we were weeping. And sometimes tears would come out because the physicality would your breathing would affect your body, and you would cry tears in the same way that you'll cry from laughter, tears. These things, dicks, death, blood, guts, laughter, sadness, all of this stuff exists together in this like primordial fucking soup in our souls. And if you're gonna go in those waters, you have to take the bucket. You gotta go deep. You gotta bring it out. And this is it's one of those where I think, to go back to the metaphor of like a soup or a stew, it's like, well, you're getting the broth, but you're not really getting what's at the bottom. You gotta mix it. You gotta stir it, and you gotta dig and get out all the stuff from the bottom. We're only getting the liquid part. And for what it is, okay, it's cool, yeah. But it does leave you wanting more.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a nice little it's a nice little diversion from your day. But there's a better movie here. The concept is ripe for a better film, and it could have been. So that's always a problem when you see something that doesn't rise to your expectations, but you know that your expectations are reasonable for what you might want. So yeah, I agree.
Buymeacoffee.com/watch Rick Ramos. Buymeacoffee.com/watch Rick Ramos. This one is for Stephen Palmer, a member. Keep listening, keep crying, keep laughing, keep being fucked up, and we'll see you next time.